Hello everybody, my name is Reggie and you clicked on this video because you're hip. You like the underground, the underappreciated, the underrated board games. And I'm gonna talk about 7 from my board game collection that you should know about. Here we go. Okay, so I was perusing board game websites as I often do, and I was on Geek Group, hashtag not sponsored, but they are really great at looking at your board game geek collection and giving you a bunch of cool data. One of the insights is the rarest games in your collection. So the least owned, and they also have the most owned. So I'm gonna give you a moment. What game do you think is the most owned game in my collection? It's Carcassonne, great guess though. Runners up were Codenames and Wingspan. Carcassonne has 198,000 different people who have marked that they own the game on BoardGameGeek. Obviously this is not extensive, but it is the biggest database we have. So I thought this wasn't geeky enough, so I wanted to incorporate some math here. And I found 5% of 198,000, which is 9,900, double check me there. And I wanted to find games in my collection that were under that threshold to talk about, because that means less than 10,000 people have this game in their collection, according to BoardGameGeek. So these are mathematically, objectively, statistically hidden gems. You can't argue with data, okay? I also wanted to make sure that they weren't too new to where people just haven't gotten their hands on them yet. So they have to be at least 2 years old, 2022 or older. So we're gonna start from most owned to least owned, starting with Coal Baron. Check out this big boy here. This is a 2013 release by Kramer and Kiesling. They are famous for a lot of joint games, El Grande, Palaces of Carrara. They have their own designs as well, Azul being very famous, Take 5, one of my good ones. So it's a very, a lot of pedigree between these two designers, and yet there's still not that many people who know about it. I got this used off of Facebook Marketplace. Shout out to my new friend Henry, but I have also played this on Board Game Arena where you can try it out. It is very reminiscent of about 10 years ago, and I'm realizing games that are a little bit older, especially in the worker placement genre. This is completely language independent. The components are really simple. It's just a bunch of wooden pieces, some cardboard, and some paper money, which I kind of find endearing. I don't know why I like them in this game. The worker placement is simple but clever. If you are wanting to go to a spot that someone else is already on, you just need to add that many workers plus 1. You start with a big pile of workers, so if there were 2 on the money spot, I would remove those 2 workers. They could even be my own workers, and I would put 3 new ones there. They go off to lunch. You send them to the commissary, which I think is pretty thematically cute. Anyway, your coal barons, placing your workers all over this board to end up collecting the most different types of coal. You have to go down this mine shaft, which is a really fun little mechanic to slide it up and down, and then you get to sell those off with contracts, and you ship them with specific vehicle types. What I really like about the game is that each round, there are 3 total rounds, you're going to have some majority scoring. So in the first round, you're trying to see who sold the most of the 4 different colors of coal. And then in the second round, you're looking at the transportation types, the train or the truck or whatever, plus you're looking at the coal colors. And then in the third round, you count both of those things up again, and then you also look at how many empty mine carts you have in your shaft. So it kind of has this like cumulative feature where you could maybe not win the yellow coal goal in the first round, but you might win it in the third round, and the points progressively go up. So there's like majorities that you're fighting for, worker placement, money management, and it's a nice hour long for maybe 4 players or maybe 3. I really think this is a perfect medium weight worker placement, completely language independent as well. And it is a hidden gem with only 5,952 owners. That is Coal Baron. The next hidden gem is a 2022 release, and that is First Rat. Check this one out. This was a Christmas gift I received a couple years ago. I think the year it had come out. I had heard a little bit about it, and really the theme comes first on this game. It might be my favorite theme of any game that doesn't involve birds. You are a group of rats. You have a little colony of rats that have been reading a little too many comic books, and you have learned that the moon is made of cheese. And so you are going to collect as many materials to build a rocket ship and race your rats to the moon to become ratstronauts. I mean, come on, you can't not love this theme. And it actually plays really, really well. So it's got one long track, very similar to like Parks or something, but instead of, and you can kind of reset in certain ways as well, but you can only go forward along the track. There are a couple ways to like skip ahead, like chutes and ladders, and there's a couple ways to purchase items from these vendors along the route and go back to the beginning. It's got a really unique movement where you can move one worker up to 5 places, or you can move multiple workers 1 to 3 spaces as long as they are landing on the same color. The components are all a bunch of cardboard for all the different like chits, but the graphic design, the art, the theming, and especially like the player aid are all top notch. It is great at all player counts. The only one I haven't played is solo, which I'm really intrigued to try out. Shout out to the Neurodivergent Gamer. They have a video about playing this solo that is saved in my watch later, so check that one out. I'll link it below. But the thing that really blows my mind about this game is that there's a set map on one side of the board. When you flip it over, they are all blank and you can have completely random variety. And I have never even played with anything other than the set map. I've barely scratched the surface on what this game has to offer, and I still really love it. I think this one might be the highest ranked on BGG of all the games on this list, but still it only has 5,942 owners, so it is a certified hidden gem that is first rat. Next up is a 2021 Phil Walker Harding classic, and that is Summer Camp here. Now, this is a game I got at Target kind of early on in my hobby. I think I was like a 2020, 2021, I started realizing, oh, I'm a board gamer. And so this is Buffalo Games and Puzzles, and they have released some good gems as it goes on, but this game I genuinely feel like no one ever talks about. It is one of the best family weight deck builders there are. There are so many great ones out there. I think the Star Wars game that has just come out, I always love Abandon All Artichokes. But if I were to say, how would I introduce someone to deck building in 2024? I still think it would be Summer Camp. The theming is just so nice. I'll show you here on the back of the box. You can see there's these 3 tracks that you're gonna have your campers, and then there are 3 markets of decks, and there are a huge number of different themed decks in here. So there's like the arts and crafts, and the water sports, and the food and cooking, all themed around a summer camp. And it's got very typical deck building elements of purchasing cards, trying to get rid of some cards to lean out your deck, but you're also using that to race along a track. So recently I just got Quest for El Dorado, Reiner Knizia Classic, and I still think, so far, I've only played it a few times, I still think I prefer Summer Camp for deck building and racing. So I really think people should check this one out. It is definitely family weight, and the theme really drives it in terms of just like bringing on a non-gamer into it. And I introduced this to a lot of people who barely played any board games, especially not a deck builder, and it has always gone over well. So I would check out, see if you can find it. I love the little components in here, and it's Phil Walker Harding, praise be to PWH, and that has 5,550 owners. I'm just gonna put on my content creator hat here for a second and ask you to subscribe. We are at 1,900 subscribers. We're pushing towards 2,000. Never really asked for this, but it is completely free. If you're liking this content at all, just click that button. It really, really helps out the channel. About 80% of you are not subscribed watching this, so just please check, see if you can do it. It would mean a lot to the channel. Let's get back to the list. The next game is a 2016 release here. This is Lotus. This is by a husband and wife team. It is so beautiful. It was introduced to me at a board game cafe. Look at these cards here. They are so nice and they overlap in a beautiful, beautiful way. You've got these little tokens of bugs that you'll be putting on these flowers, and it's gorgeous, but it's actually kind of a cutthroat area majority game. Whoever has control of each of the flowers when they are completed is going to get a special bonus. It could be points, or it can be these special powers, which are really, really cool and make the game really different each time because everyone has access to the same powers, but you can choose which power you want to start with every time you win a flower with your majority. So it is really inspiring for me. I've actually been working on a prototype for a very long time. I don't talk about very much, but these ability tiles are very much an inspiration for my game if it ever comes out. But Lotus is very family friendly. It's very pretty. It makes a lot of sense. They have a new version now that also has a solo mode I'd really like to try. But what I really like about the game is the tension of trying to battle for these different flowers and using the hand management and just how gorgeous it looks on the table. I have an old Instagram post of this game because it's so pretty, but Lotus, this game just does not get enough love. I'm grabbing the paper here. 5,421 owners, so definitely a hidden gem, Lotus. Okay, the rest of the games on this list are all under 5,000 owners, so we're really getting to the hidden gems here. So this one is Sobek 2 players. This is a 2021 release with 2 amazing designers, Bruno Catala and Sebastian Pochon. King Domino designer and Jaipur designer. They took mechanics from both of these games to make this awesome market game. So it's themed around Egypt, and you can see this awesome market board here, which he also, Bruno Catala, used for Splendor Duel, very much like in the same time he was working on this. I'm sure he was working on Splendor Duel. The original game is called Sobek and from 2010, and they kind of just made it a 2-player version. The selling or grabbing comes from Jaipur. So you're either grabbing tiles or selling your card on your turn. The awesome these little golden scarabs on some of the tiles, they count as kind of the crowns from King Domino. And it is such a small box. Pandasaurus does amazing with the components, a nice cloth bag, these nice sturdy cardboard tiles. And that grid, wherever you take a tile from, that will dictate what your opponent can do on their turn. There's also the randomness of these like score tiles. I think they're called Debin. I don't know how you'd say that. Debin tokens, but those are very much reminiscent of the Jaipur scoring tiles as well. So you can, if you like either of those games, there are elements of both in this. And again, small box, great at 2 players. If you like Splendor Duel, I'd also consider this. And you can try it out on BGA. So check it out on Board Game Arena and you can get a lot of games in. This is a hidden gem with 4,840 owners. Next up, we have Votes for Women. Check this one out. Full transparency, this was sent to me for review a couple years ago. Love, love, love this game though. The production is insane on Votes for Women. The theme is you are playing as the suffragists trying to rally, support, and pass and ratify the 19th Amendment, giving women the right to vote. And as someone who went to United States high schools and went to college and learned all this, I learned so much from this game about my own country's history and this amazing, amazing battle that women and supporters were doing to try to stop the opposition. So the game is 1 to 2 players. You can play as both players cooperatively against the opposition. It will do an AI bot called the Oppo bot. Or alternatively, you can play competitively where one person plays as the suffragist and one person plays as the opposition. I really don't know who would want to play that way. I like the solo version and cooperative. It would feel so bad to win as the opposition. And it's pretty tough to win all 48 states. You're lobbying and campaigning. If you see this big, huge American map, it is so beautiful. The cards have so much great information. The production is incredible. But the big thing I like to highlight about this is what Tori Brown has done. Go check her out on social media and everything with Fort Circle Games is create a war game experience, but with a completely different theme. If you are not interested in the violence of war games, but want to try out the mechanics like myself, I think this was the perfect entry for me into a game like this. There's a lot of dice and there's like D8s, and I think it's like a D8 and D6s and D12s. I mean, it is awesome. It was really down to the wire. I actually lost by 1 state in my first solo game of this, but this game, gorgeous production. I will say it was sent to me for review. I want to be transparent about that again, but I really think this is criminally under-owned on BGG with 1,549 owners. That is Votes for Women from 2022. The final game on my list is Enchanted Plumes. Now, a little bit of bias here. This is from Calliope Games, and Brendan Hansen is the designer. I do listen to his podcast called Decision Space. Really, really enjoy that. And also it is bird themed. And if you watch the channel at all, you know I'm collecting all the bird themed board games that there are. So that's why I originally got it. But if you look, my copy is actually pretty beat up. You can't really see it very much here, but I really played this for like a year in my backpack when I first got it. It's a 2021 release because Brendan Hansen put out a solo variant on Board Game Geek. I love when you can go through the files and find stuff like this on Board Game Geek. And so I played the solo variant a ton, but normally it is a 2 to 5 player game, very hand management. You are going to be putting all these beautiful feathers. I'll show you again. And they want to go from the lowest numbers up top and higher numbers as you go down, also matching colors. You have to manage that to score maximum points. It's got a very much solitaire or like a Lost Cities feel, where every now and then you're like, I really don't want to play this card. I'd love to hold on to it a little longer, but you get put in these tense spots of you have to make a decision. Beautiful, beautiful game. I'll show the cards real quick. I love all the beautiful cards here, but what I love the most is when you look at this number, if I put this at the very bottom, I would just flip the card over to complete the peacock. I just love that about it. And it's got a very typical game end round, like a force shuffle or something, where there's the peahen, which is the female peacock, towards the bottom of the deck. I love it solo. I love it at all the player counts I've tried it at. It's great introductory one, great to keep in your backpack. And again, an absolutely statistical hidden gem with only 1,213 owners. What, I just can't even imagine why not more people aren't getting this. This is a perfect backpack game, perfect introductory filler in between games to start game night. Enchanted Plumes is my #1 hidden gem. Okay, there's my list. Like, subscribe, and let's comment below some hidden gems from your collection. Go to BGG, go to Geek Group. Maybe we'll do that 9,900 threshold, or maybe you have a different game that's your most popular and you can do the math of 5%. If you're a content creator, I'd love to see you make a video and tag me. I would love to see what you would highlight as your hidden gem. There were so many others I might want to talk about in the future, but this is the first 7 that I really think stood out, that I really wanted to highlight. So thank you for watching. Comment below your picks, and I will see you in the next one.